Alright, what is up guys, Putty here and welcome back for another episode of Let's Plays in Review. This time we're doing Skyrim. This is the 5th main series title in the Elder Scrolls series, and this title was made by Bethsoft. Bethsoft obviously responsible for a lot of the Elder Scrolls games as well as the two most recent Fallout games. They decided to create a whole new engine for this game, the Creation Engine. This engine is a lot smoother, a lot nicer, and just genuinely it is a modern engine. One of Bethesda's greatest. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. If you couldn't tell, Skyrim is set in Skyrim. It's a very northern land, which means it's very snowy, but that often creates a very warm interiors in a lot of the towns. Interiors meaning obviously the interiors of buildings. They're very warm. They're a little bit samey, but I don't think it really gets old. The different characters and music and atmosphere that's in every town is a little bit different. So definitely a very warm interior there that's created by a very snowy and not a very nice outside. It's a big expansive world as you would expect from Bethesda, and it's nice, it's good. There's a lot of a world to see, but there are a lot less invisible walls in this game than some of Bethesda's older titles, so it's very easy to get around. It's very smooth and it's just enjoyable to get around. But the world is very samey. The world looks the same in many different places. The snow doesn't help. I've said this from the beginning 3 years ago when I started this video channel with Call of Duty. Snowy maps, snowy worlds get old fast, and unfortunately for Skyrim, it's no different. Snow is used often to just vary things up a bit, but when it's everything, when snow is everything, it just makes things look the same, unfortunately. And the interiors of caves doesn't help. There are a few nice looking caves, there are a few different caves, but for the most part you're going to be going through the same caves doing the same type of quest, and it's very annoying. A lot of the locations do look the same, but on the other hand it is very bright, which makes it a very enjoyable thing to be a part of, but you do get bored quickly. The inventory system in Skyrim is very nice. It's very in-depth, very detail focused, very nice. It's something you'd expect from a Bethesda title by now. Unfortunately, it is inferior to Fallout system. It's slower. The lists are harder to get through. It's harder to bring up on the console versions. It's just an inferior system, and if you're used to Bethesda's Fallout titles, you're gonna feel let down by the inventory system of Skyrim, unfortunately. It has a horrible variety of weapons, absolutely dreadful. There are a lot of weapons that are named the same thing, that name different things that look exactly the same. It is ridiculously bad. The weapon variety in this game is really bad. It's not really bad. It's decent, but it lets you down for a Bethesda game. You'd expect better from them. It is disappointing. One of the redeeming qualities of the weapons in the game, though, is the mages weapons. They're cool to experiment with and are very interesting. The engine is quick and Bethesda's smoothest experience ever. It is a masterpiece of smoothness and really makes me excited for the future of the engine. And it is one of the least buggiest games Bethesda have ever put out. It's at this point that I should mention that I'm only really reviewing the Mages Guild portion of the game. This is because that's the only portion that I actually Let's Played. So now we're getting on to story and characters. I just thought I'd mention that and get it out of the way. The Mages Guild story is a good concept. I like it. It's got a lot of interesting stuff to it. It is very nice. It's got a nice progression system. You do tend to care about the story quite a bit, which is very good. Unfortunately, the world is very unreactive. Everything you do in Skyrim, and the Mages Guild is no exception, the world just doesn't care. You still ask to go on fetch quests, and random people just don't react to you in a way that people might if you've done special things. And unfortunately, a lot of the quests in the Mages Guild questline are fetch quests. The rewards are relatively poor, and there is a lack of choice. So it's a bit bland, unfortunately, although there was a lot of good potential there. There's an undeveloped school feel to it, a mages school. That is a really interesting concept, and they start off giving you classes and stuff, and it was very underdeveloped. They could have done a lot more with the school feel instead of putting you basically in a quest line, which is what they ended up doing. So overall, a good concept. You do kind of care, but it's still a bit bland, and it does let you down in the end, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's been a long time since I've played the Mages Guild questline in Skyrim, so I can't comment too heavily on the characters, but from what I remember, it was very much a mixed bag. A few of the students, a few of the teachers, and of course the Archmage were very good, very nice, to relate to, and then there are some characters who they were uninteresting, they were bland, and the villains were very meh. You know, you didn't hate the villains, you didn't love the villains, and unfortunately in this storyline, and unfortunately that just makes the characters just a bit bland on the whole. But that's all I can really say on that. In conclusion, I think Skyrim is a very exciting game. The engine makes me very hopeful for the future of not only the Fallout series, but also the Elder Scrolls series. The engine is fantastic, and I can't wait to see a Fallout game built around it, or even on it. It has very good environments at times, very good characters at times, but unfortunately the game is bland. And unfortunately it has a lot of potential, it does a lot of things right, but the blandness, the repetition, just lets the game down. I give this game a 6.5 out of 10.